Okay, here is part 3 of my D&D module, the Lair of Grud'in-nu'ak, the Hobgoblin. Hope you enjoy it. But first I want to show you, before we get into the Hobgoblin lair, I want to show you a change that I made. As I was looking at the stats, I was looking them over, notice how my Hobgoblins have a intelligence of 7, wisdom of 6, charisma of 4. That's pretty much their stuff. I decided that Grud'in-nu'ak, while I did have it like 9, I think, I had his intelligence at 9, I think it should be more like this. Intelligence of 12, wisdom of 11, charisma of 8. That's versus the party and people. 18 versus hobgoblins. So he would have an 18 charisma, really, or maybe a 17. Maybe it would be that. I don't know if these are the right stats. But Grud'in-nu'ak is clearly very intelligent, and so a 12 would be very intelligent for a hobgoblin. 9 is still quite intelligent, but I think those are better stats. I'm curious if you would do his stats differently. I'm curious what you would do differently. Would any of my stats and any of my stuff, including treasure, because now within the lair, realize that the lair, other than the prisoners, there's nothing in here. There's no creatures. They've all been killed or they've fled. If they survive, if him crying out for surrender and the party lets them live, the party's not going to enter this lair. They're not going to get any of the treasure. So that's all. How do you want to do this? Another way of doing this module is you could have the monsters inside, not on high alert. You could change it, and the party enters this hobgoblin lair, this cave in a forest, and gets into combat inside the lair. So there's different ways to do this. This is just a nice setup that I'm doing here. So let's go down to the hobgoblin lair, and I will start reading this. Now I've written it as though you can't see the map because there is no map on my blog. So I've tried to describe what you're seeing in a way, and I talk about it. At the end, I will show you the map, and you can see did it read well enough that you could picture it or not. So let's see how this goes. Okay, the lair is basically circular in shape, as 2 passageways branch off from the entrance to the left and right for approximately 200 feet in total length as they curve around and meet at the opposite end. That might be more than 200 feet. I haven't double check that. It's possible that it's longer. Doesn't matter. As they meet at the opposite end in a 4-way intersection, passageways branch off periodically that are caves that are described below. The cave can be facing whatever direction you want, which is partly why I reference direction with left and right instead of east and west. Also, because the passages that go off to the left and the right circle around, but to make it easier to describe, I didn't say that right. Let me try that again. Also because the passages that go off to the left and right circle around. But to make it easier to describe at one point, I'm putting the cave entrance at the south end. I still don't know if I wrote that correctly. It doesn't matter though. Area 1, cave entrance. Covered in trees and dense vegetation, the cave entrance is easily missed unless actively searching for it, in which case it's easily found. There's a minotaur's head propped up on a spear sitting right outside the entrance. I guess you could say this is my homage to, what was that movie with the kids on the Lord of the Flies? I couldn't remember for a second. Minotaur's head propped up on a spear sitting right outside the entrance. It smells disgusting and is covered in flies. This is to hopefully scare off any possible intruders who wander by and happen to see the cave entrance. The entrance is fairly large, about 20 feet wide and 15 feet high. I think that's a good cave entrance size, especially since there's a couple ogres in here. Area 2, guard post. The area beyond the entrance looks quite large, around 30 by 30, but mostly circular in shape. So you've entered the cave. It's a 30 by 30 circular cave, natural cave, with natural passageways that are around 10 feet wide going off to the left and right. There is a secret door directly across from the cave entrance. This is a secret entrance into the shaman's cave, which mainly serves as a secret escape route for Grud'in-nu'ak and the shaman. No one else knows about it. This entrance, the secret door, I'm assuming the party will not see it. Now, again, the party is entering because all of the hobgoblins are dead or because they've fled. That's the only reason the party's going to go in here. Otherwise, they're not even going to go into this part. But I'm assuming they won't look for the secret door here and they'll miss it, because why would they look for it? There's passages. They have no reason to think there's a secret door here. It's not important whether they miss it or not, because they will eventually get to it. You'll see. Okay, Area 3, Ogre Cave. Down the left passageway, there's a path that forks off to the left that opens up into a large cave. 2 ogres live here. They serve Grud'in-nu'ak faithfully, and in exchange for their service, they are mostly left alone and get to live here in peace. They are well fed and have collected their share of loot from raids. In their cave are large sacks with the following treasure. Now remember, I use a silver standard. So 403 copper pieces in your campaign, if you're using the gold standard, would be 403 silver pieces. 289 silver pieces, that would be gold. The 21 gold pieces would be platinum. So that's how much treasure is here. 3 gems worth 20, 30, and 50. Again, it doesn't matter. You do make them your amounts, the amounts that you want them to be. And a jeweled necklace worth 150 silver pieces. Their beds are heaps of skins. I like making my treasure good but not overwhelming. I felt that Gary overdid treasure in a lot of his modules, but that might be because treasure was the only means of experience in the basic game, although he tended to do large treasure amounts in his D&D modules too. So I didn't quite understand it. Thought it was too much. Their beds are heaps of skins, but I digress. Yeah. One of which is a beautiful black bear rug worth 100 silver pieces. I still might change that to 200 or 300. There are 2 very large crude mugs, 2 very large crude platters with bread and cheese, and some salted meat and a barrel of honey mead that's mostly empty now. And the reason I'm including all these details is the same reason I did it in my book. I think it's more interesting to describe a room with these minor details. I think that's more interesting for players to hear, let alone they might want to try the food items. I just think makes it more interesting. And I'd love your thoughts on that as well. Everything I do here, I'd love to hear your thoughts on what you might do differently. Area 4, the Warg Cave. Down the right passageway, there's a path that forks off to the right that opens up into a large cave. This is where the 6 wargs sleep, but they often sleep with the ogres or hobgoblins. There are many large bones scattered throughout the cave and several large buckets containing water. Heaps of skins serve as their beds. There's no treasure here, only garbage and filth. Area 5, Hobgoblin Cave. The passageway continues past the Warg Cave and forks off to the right again, which opens up into a very large cave, with an opening at either end that forms 2 more caves. This is the lair where all the hobgoblins live. The 2 caves that branch off from the main cave are the sleeping quarters for all of them, 26 males, 15 females, 21 kids. All 3 caves are filthy. There's garbage everywhere, moldy food, crude mugs and plates, 3 barrels containing cheap wine, beer, and water. All that they will find if they search are scraps of food, mostly torn and tattered and miscellaneous junk, clothes, etc. There's nothing of any value here. Area 6, storage. Beyond the Ogre's Cave, the passageway continues around, and you see another passageway fork off to the left that opens up into a roughly circular cave around 30 by 30. This is clearly a storage room. It is filled with sacks, crates, barrels, along with all the items they recently stole from a caravan. See Tantalin, Area 9 below for his items. Now, Tantalin is an NPC that I've added to this, again, just to put something else in here besides the daughter, the noble's daughter. So this is an NPC that the party will be rescuing, hopefully. And in my campaign, this involves my story with the sacred shrine. It can be whatever you want to use it for your campaign. But I get into that. That's why I'm mentioning it now. All kinds of food and drink are stored here. Edible, but only of average quality, but considered quite yummy by Hobgoblin standards. But all the food items that were just taken from the caravan are of excellent quality, and thus still worth some money. Now there's 2 different caravan attacks. Tantalin was not brought prisoner with the noble's daughter. This is a separate caravan from earlier. I'll explain here. There are also crude weapons lying around all over the place: swords, axes, and clubs. All look very crude. If the room is searched, the party finds a decent looking suit of chainmail, a large shield, and a decent looking longsword, battle axe, and staff, mostly hidden under lots of junk and stuff. Only a thorough search will find them. The staff belongs to Tantalin from area number 9. It's a +2 staff that also gives him +2 defense against 2 opponents. Kind of like a staff of protection +2, that's also a +2 staff. Again, lost my train of thought. I'll just keep reading. If I get it back, I'll say what I was going to say. Area 7, Main Hall. At the back end of the lair, the passage branches off into a 4-way intersection. The passage to the north goes into a huge cave over 50 by 50 in size. There are tables and benches everywhere. Some tables have crude mugs and plates containing food scraps and barrels on them. The barrels contain the same cheap wine, beer, and water. Plenty of knives and utensils throughout, but all very crude in design. The whole place is filthy and it smells. What I was going to say back in this area with the storage room is I did not detail all of the items that were in the caravans that were the wagons that were stolen, the items that were collected. This would be a thing that I probably should take the time to put maybe lots of interesting items without any magical items, but interesting items and possibly some items that are valuable, like some kind of cloak that's made of fabric that's worth a lot of money, expensive clothing or things like that. So all kinds of things you could do here that were taken. And I didn't get into the details, sadly, but I might. Area 7A, the kitchen. In the southwest corner of the main hall is an opening that leads into the kitchen. Like the main hall, this place also smells and is filthy and contains the usual food and drink items, along with plates and mugs and other kitchen stuff. Number 8, Area 8, the 4-way guard post. So this is where the top end of the cave, the cave comes together and forms that 4-way intersection. Normally there are 2 guards posted at the 4-way, blocking the entrance to the south. The south passage has a crude-looking door on the left, while it also continues south, ending in another crude-looking door. Area 9, prisoners. Beyond the door on the east wall, down the south passage, there's a door on the left, the crude door, that's this door here, is where the prisoners are kept. They would have easily broken down the door, but they're chained to the wall. 4 prisoners are here, unless they've been released. 3 are from the caravan, 2 are commoners, and 1 is the daughter of the noble who hired you to rescue her, but none are feeling well, having been locked up in this filthy cave. The 4th prisoner, which is where my possible other plot hook is, and this is my NPC, is an elf who has been here for about a month. Now, he's a 6th level monk. Let me bring up his stats. So I'm just being silly here. How could a 6th level monk be taken prisoner by hobgoblins? Come on, right? Well, he failed a saving throw. How else? Which is just, that's just fun. But anyway, let's go over this. This is Tantalin, the elven monk, 246 years old, 5'7", 124 pounds, and I like his hair, bluish blonde. I want to see Victoria draw this elf with bluish blonde hair. I wonder how she'll do it. And hazel green eyes. Level 6, 33 hit points. Now, this is a monk from the Castles and Crusades game that I modified for my game. It's very similar to there was a Monk and Dragon magazine that they made it better than the original monk. But, you make the monk whatever you want it to be. But these are his abilities. Climb, dodge, hide, listen, move silently, mind over body, stunning attack, deflect missiles, slow fall, key strike. I think that's from Castles and Crusades. Purity of body. So his stats, 11, 17, and 14. His mental are 14, 13, and 14. The Castles and Crusades saving throw system gives him his 2 primary saving throw numbers connected to his ability scores are dexterity and charisma, which give him really good saving throws. The other 4 are poor saving throws, but in my game, I've made it, he's still 6 levels, so they're not really poor now because you get +1 for every level. You get +1 bonus to all of your saving throws every time you go up a level. And I also have other bonuses for certain secondary abilities. So the other 4, the strength, constitution, intelligence, and wisdom checks, which are saving throws. All of my spells say what the saving throw involves. So is it a dex saving throw? Is it a con saving throw? So it's I really like that system. I think it makes more sense than the kind of random haphazard system of the first edition AD&D. Not that it was bad, it worked. It's just this one is more kind of streamlined, I think you could say. Okay, gear. All his gear, backpack, belt pouches, etc., was taken and thrown in their storage room. So all of his items are in the storage room, including his treasure, which is 157 copper, 168 silver pieces, and 24 gold pieces. It was all taken, but he knows exactly how much he had. So he's going to want to make sure he gets all that back. And they're only going to have his word, of course. But there's all kinds of role play you could do here. Tantalin could be used as the basis to lead them into the next adventure. He is under a curse, so he was traveling with a caravan to the keep. Now that's for my purposes, to try to find a party of adventurers to travel with him to the sacred shrine, because a sage revealed to him that the shrine could remove the curse. But these hobgoblins attacked his caravan. Now this is not the caravan that the woman was traveling in with the three other prisoners. This was separate. The hobgoblins attacked this caravan. They told everyone to surrender their items and coins, and this is what Tantalin is telling the party now. What happened to you? How did you end up here? And this is what he is saying. They said then they could leave, but if they refused to turn over their stuff, they would die. So Tantalin, being a 6th level monk, and there were a few others with him with the caravan, attacked the hobgoblins, figuring they're going to beat them. But one of them was a shaman, and he cast command on Tantalin, telling him to freeze, and it worked because of the curse that's on him. That, or he reacted too slow and also failed his saving throw. But that's partly what the curse does. It makes him always go last, and he suffers -4 penalties to most of his die rolls. Tantalin just stood there motionless. This is him relaying the story, and the shaman immediately knocked him unconscious. Upon seeing this, everyone else fled for their lives. Tantalin was the only one taken prisoner, along with the wagons and cartloads of items that were left behind, which you could have a lot of fun detailing all these items. I'll probably do it if I ever want to detail this further. The hobgoblins did not pursue anyone, as taught to them by Grud'in-nu'ak, and instead traveled back to their lair here, with their large bounty of goods, mostly clothing and various bolts of fabric, along with food, armor, weapons, and many various everyday items. Okay, so a little more of the story that happened. Grud'in-nu'ak was not happy about taking an elf prisoner, and again, Tantalin could be relaying this part too, but the shaman believed the elf was on his own, and thus no risk in doing so. Grud'in-nu'ak disagreed, and told him never to take such a risk again. But a month passed and no one came looking for him. So now Grud'in-nu'ak is debating what to do with him. And this again is what Tantalin is telling them. And Tantalin could say, yeah, he said to the shaman, why did you decide to take him prisoner versus just leaving him there? The shaman says, I thought he might be useful, or that we could get a good ransom for him. And Grud'in-nu'ak walked away shaking his head. Like, you fool, you're bringing wrath down upon us for having this elven monk. So lots of possibilities there. So let's continue now. Area 10, Grud'in-nu'ak's Great Living Chamber. The door here is very crudely built. Grud'in-nu'ak had the other hobgoblins build it after cutting wood for days. It, like the door north of it, is a very poor design, but it bars entrance, which is all he wanted it to do, so he could have some privacy as well as to keep prisoners in a separate room. So that's why he has 2 guards to keep the other hobgoblins from badgering the prisoners, let alone coming over by his door and bothering him. He has 2 guards posted. No one's allowed in this area. Makes sense to me. This is a massive chamber, roughly 70 by 40. There are couches, rugs, tapestries, and tables and chairs throughout. None of them have any value, as they've taken damage over the years. But for a hobgoblin, this is the life of a king. There is always a keg of wine, ale, honey mead, and water here, sitting on tables, with plenty of food throughout, along with many crude plates, mugs, and tableware too. Here, Grud'in-nu'ak lives with his 4 wives in the lap of luxury. But because he's not a fool, as my kitty cat wants to meow now, instead of becoming a lazy fat slob, he and all the hobgoblins, Here, train regularly. Every once in a while, he will invite his fellow hobgoblins to come spend time with him and his 4 wives. By doing so, he has greatly endeared them all to him, for they love having a leader who treats them so well. Area 10A, Grud'in-nu'ak's bedroom. His bedroom is also quite large, roughly 40 by 30. In it are 4 large beds, 5 dressers and mirrors, with 2 couches, 2 rugs, and 2 tapestries, just like in his chamber, and 1 large table with 6 chairs. None are of any value. In the dressers are clothes, brushes, combs, and miscellaneous coins, 57 copper pieces and 17 silver pieces, so there's a little minor treasure. On the table is a keg of brandy and honey mead, already opened, and plenty of food, along with crude mugs and plates and tableware. On the wall, here's another little treasure that I added, which is non-magical. And I like my non-magical treasure, especially weapons. And I'm curious what you all think of making a non-magic weapon like this. Do you like this idea? On the wall above his bed is a beautiful 2-handed sword taken from a warrior that he killed in battle. It's not magical, but it's worth 5 times its normal price. And all attack rolls of 4, 5, and 6 get +1 due to its exquisite craftsmanship. Now, my attack roll involves a d10. So literally 3 of the 10 numbers that you might roll will give you a +1 bonus. It's not a +1 weapon. It's kind of like a plus half weapon. So on your d20, I would make those rolls different. I might say, 8, 10, 12, and 14, or 6, 8, 10, 12, something like that, where you get a +1 bonus, but only certain rolls grant it to you, showing the better weight distribution of the weapon. It works better, but it's not magical. It's just an idea that I had that I've incorporated, and I'm curious if anybody likes it. Area 10B, Grud'in-nu'ak's treasure room. A large boulder is pushed up against here to make it look like it's just part of the natural cave. But anyone checking for secret doors can easily see that it's a boulder that was pushed up against an opening, but only if they're searching, if they're looking. If they're not looking, it's just going to look like part of the cave. It's blocking the opening, making it difficult for anyone to get through unless they're strong enough to move the boulder. Anyone with a strength of 18 can do it, or 2 people with a strength of 14 plus can as well. Beyond is a small cave about 10 by 15, mostly circular in shape, with a large iron chest on the floor. The chest is locked. Grud'in-nu'ak has the key. Inside is the following treasure. The party could also say, we'll let you live, but you have to give us your treasure. That's another thing you could do. So here's the treasure: 2,200 plus copper, 800 and something silver, 100 plus gold, 11 gems of various colors, each worth 20 silver pieces. There's also a silver necklace worth 100 pieces silver and a gold bracelet worth 400 silver. Of the 11 gems, one of them is worth 300 silver. So that's just a nice variety of treasure. Area 11, the shaman's quarters. So from Grud'in-nu'ak, you can then, I forget if I have a door. You'll see it on the map. You'll see. It's another secret door. Area 11, the shaman's quarters, is a large cave, roughly 20 by 30. In it is a crude-looking wooden bed, dresser, couch, chest, and a table with 4 chairs. The bed and couch have many cushions, hides, and skins. In the dresser are clothes, 2 pairs of boots, a belt, and 4 rings, all normal, not magical, worth about 5 silver pieces each. On the table are 4 crude wooden plates and mugs with ale, salted meat, bread, cheese, keg of ale, box with food and stuff. Okay, the treasure. The rug and tapestry. There's a rug on the floor and a tapestry on the wall over the bed. Both are in decent shape and are worth money, unlike the stuff in Grud'in-nu'ak's room. Go figure. They're worth 100 and 200 silver pieces respectively. The wooden chest locked. The shaman has a key. He's got 369 copper. There's silver, gold, 11 gems again. 2 are worth double that amount. Just, whatever. Assuming the party defeats or drives off the hobgoblins and rescues everyone, Tantalin will explain how he ended up a prisoner, and if they could travel with him to the sacred shrine in hopes that it will rid him of this horrid curse. If they accept Grud'in-nu'ak's surrender and truce and let him stay, he is quite shocked, so he offers his services to the party. Okay. He offers his services to the party. Where did I just lost my place? In any way that he can, even to the point of going adventuring with them for a time. Even though he is evil, what he's trying to do here is attempt to establish some type of relationship which could only benefit him in the long run. If they decline his offer, he understands and thanks them again for not killing all of them, while stating again that he will serve them in any way that he can for allowing them all to stay here. If they accept his joining them, going adventuring with them, then I'll have the hilarious task of coming up with a scenario for a party of adventurers with their new companion, the great and mighty Hobgoblin King, Grud'in-nu'ak. So that's the module. Let me show you what the cave area looks like. I'll just bring this up here, and we'll just plop it down so you can take a look at it. There's the cave entrance right there. Whoops, there we go. And you can see there's the wolves, there's the hobgoblins, there's the ogre lair of the cave, there's the storage. So here's the secret door. I'm trying to make sure I'm doing this right, which goes into the shaman's room. There's another secret door, and that goes into the Hobgoblin King's room, and there's the treasure. So whether they find the secret door, well, no, that's not a secret door. That's just a door. So yeah, I don't know why I thought that was a secret door. So that's the shaman's place where he feels quite safe. The secret door, of course, if it's found, he's not safe. Would he? He wouldn't be safe at all, would he? If he was actually in there, he'd be probably killed. But that's how I drew it, and I hope you guys enjoyed listening to this, and I would love to hear your thoughts. We'll maybe do this again sometime if I ever have another module that I'd like to share with you guys. Talk to you all later. Bye-bye.